If you're over 60 and still holding on to the routines that made you feel fresh and energized in your younger years, you need to hear this. A shocking case from right here in the U.S. has left doctors and families stunned. A woman in her 70s, healthy, active, and mentally sharp, suffered a sudden stroke just minutes after her usual morning hair wash. Her husband, devastated, asked the question many of us would. We've done this for decades. How could a simple act like washing her hair lead to something so serious? As a brain doctor, I can tell you it's more common than most people realize. At this age, the body no longer responds the way it used to. Circulation slows, blood vessels stiffen, and even minor stressors like bending over a sink, using water that's too hot or cold, or washing your hair too soon after waking can quietly push the brain past its limits. I've seen patients come in dizzy, unsteady, or confused after what they thought was a normal morning. But what's really happening inside the body during that hair wash can trigger a chain reaction: blood pressure spikes, microvascular strain, sudden imbalances, all of which set the stage for stroke. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 hidden mistakes older adults often make when washing their hair, and why even healthy seniors need to be cautious with this daily routine. Because when it comes to protecting your brain, even the smallest habits matter more than you think. 1. Washing your hair too soon after waking up. Early in the morning, your body is still transitioning from a state of rest. Blood pressure tends to rise naturally during this time due to increased sympathetic nervous system activity. For healthy younger adults, this process is usually smooth and uneventful. But for older adults, whose blood vessels have become less flexible and whose cardiovascular systems are more sensitive, this natural spike can be dangerous, especially if paired with sudden physical stress like a cold splash of water or bending forward awkwardly. When you immediately start washing your hair after waking up, you shock your system during its most vulnerable phase. Cold water can cause rapid vasoconstriction, tightening blood vessels and sending mixed signals to the brain. Hot water, on the other hand, may cause rapid vasodilation, dropping your blood pressure too low, too fast. Either extreme can overwhelm aging arteries that no longer adjust as easily as they once did. The simple act of tilting your head over a sink or tub also reduces blood flow to the brain if done abruptly, compounding the risk. For people with high blood pressure or undiagnosed cardiovascular issues, this combination can silently lead to a stroke, often within minutes. That's why I always tell my older patients, give your body time to stabilize after waking. Walk around slowly, hydrate with warm water, and never rush into physically stressful routines like washing your hair first thing. Waiting just an hour after rising, especially before exposing your head to water, can dramatically reduce stroke risk and protect your brain from sudden vascular shock. 2. Using water that is too hot or too cold. As we age, our bodies become less sensitive to temperature changes. What feels comfortably warm to a younger person might actually be too hot for a senior, and yet, many older adults unknowingly use water that is either too hot or too cold when washing their hair, especially during the summer months. This may seem harmless, even refreshing, but it can create a dangerous shock to the circulatory and nervous systems. Hot water causes blood vessels to dilate quickly, which lowers blood pressure and increases blood flow to the skin. In a younger body, this response is usually well regulated. But in an aging body with stiffer arteries and slower reflexes, the sudden dilation can leave the brain temporarily underperfused, triggering dizziness, fatigue, or even fainting. In some cases, it can contribute to a stroke caused by blood pressure instability or clot migration. Cold water poses its own risks. A sudden chill to the scalp can activate the body's stress response, tightening blood vessels rapidly and increasing internal pressure. This vasoconstriction can spike blood pressure in seconds, especially dangerous for those with undiagnosed vascular weakness or plaque buildup in the arteries. It may also trigger reflexive changes in heart rate and blood flow to the brain, heightening the risk of ischemic events. And let's not forget the indirect consequences. Washing hair with extreme water temperatures during hot weather causes heavy sweating afterward, leading to dehydration. Older adults are more vulnerable to fluid loss. And without quick replenishment, the blood thickens and circulation slows, two major factors that raise stroke risk overnight. That's why I recommend using lukewarm water when washing your hair, never too hot, never too cold, and always monitoring how your body responds. If you feel even mildly dizzy or lightheaded afterward, it's a signal. Your circulatory system was stressed. Listen to that signal, because your brain already is 3. Washing hair too frequently. Many older adults grew up believing that frequent washing is a sign of cleanliness and good hygiene. While that might hold true for younger individuals with active oil glands and strong circulation, the aging body doesn't respond the same way. In fact, washing hair too often can quietly stress the delicate systems that protect the brain and support circulation, especially in seniors over 60. Each hair wash exposes the scalp to changes in temperature, water pressure, and physical stimulation. For aging scalps, where the capillaries have become thinner and more fragile, repeated exposure to water and massage, even gentle, can lead to microvascular irritation. These small blood vessels are responsible for thermoregulation and localized blood flow to the brain. When they're disrupted too often, it can trigger lightheadedness, fatigue, and even inflammation that contributes to long-term circulation issues. I've seen patients who insist on washing their hair every day, not realizing that their dizziness, headaches, or balance problems are related to overstimulating the neurovascular network in the scalp. Over time, this low-level disruption may reduce perfusion to key brain regions, especially in individuals with already compromised vessels. And let's not overlook the setting. Many seniors wash their hair in small, poorly ventilated bathrooms without proper support. Standing in a hot, humid environment, bending forward, or navigating slippery tiles without grab bars increases the chance of falls, especially if blood pressure drops suddenly or blood flow to the brain becomes unstable. The risk is even higher in those with existing conditions like hypertension, arrhythmias, or early cognitive decline. That's why I always advise my older patients to rethink their routine. It's not about washing less, it's about washing smarter. Reduce hair washing to every few days if possible. Always sit down during the process, ideally in a stable, supported position. Use lukewarm water, and most importantly, dry the hair thoroughly right after, avoiding any lingering dampness on the scalp, which can also disrupt thermoregulation. What seems like a small daily habit might be quietly straining your circulatory system, and with age, Even subtle stress can have serious consequences. 4. Washing hair in unsafe environments. What many older adults don't realize is that the physical environment where they wash their hair can be just as risky as the timing, temperature, or frequency for seniors, especially those living alone or with mobility issues. Washing hair in tight, poorly equipped bathrooms poses a serious threat to both safety and circulation. Bathrooms often have slippery tiles, low lighting, and no support bars, conditions that are manageable for younger bodies but dangerous for someone over 60. Many seniors bend over a sink or stand in the shower for long periods while washing their hair, unaware that these postures can lead to sudden drops in blood pressure, dizziness, or even fainting. And if they lose balance for just 1 second, the consequences can be life-altering. I've seen cases where patients slipped while reaching for a shampoo bottle or trying to dry their hair after bending over for too long. They didn't fall because of weak legs. They fell because the brain didn't get enough oxygen fast enough. Sudden shifts in posture, especially after washing with warm water in a humid environment, can cause orthostatic hypotension, a condition where blood pressure drops suddenly upon standing or moving too quickly. This is particularly risky for seniors taking blood pressure medications or those with a history of mild strokes or vertigo. Even more subtle, the strain of maneuvering in a small, cramped space can activate the sympathetic nervous system, raising heart rate and disrupting normal blood flow to the brain. Combine that with an unstable posture, wet floors, or poorly placed furniture, and you have a silent setup for stroke, injury, or both. That's why I always recommend seniors create a safe, supportive space for hair care. Use a seated position with a high-backed chair. Ensure the floor is dry, and avoid bending over sinks. If needed, ask for help, or consider using a handheld shower head with minimal movement. Your environment matters, because in older age, even simple routines can turn risky without the right support, and prevention often begins not in the body, but in the room around it. Conclusion. The story of an elderly woman suffering a stroke after a routine morning hair wash is more than just a rare case, it's a wake-up call. For many older adults, habits that once felt refreshing and harmless can quietly become risky as the body changes with age. Thinning blood vessels, fluctuating blood pressure, slower circulation, and reduced sensitivity to temperature all combine to create a fragile internal balance, and when that balance is disrupted by sudden shocks, incorrect posture, or extreme water temperatures, the consequences can be immediate and severe. But here's the good news. Stroke from everyday habits like washing your hair isn't inevitable. It's preventable. It begins with understanding your body's new limits and respecting the subtle warnings it gives you. That means avoiding hair washing first thing in the morning when your blood pressure is unstable. It means using warm, not hot or cold water. It means never rushing, never bending for too long, and always ensuring your space is safe and supportive. Most importantly, it means knowing that small changes to routine can lead to big improvements in safety. Being clean shouldn't come at the cost of your health. With just a few smart adjustments, you can continue your self-care habits with confidence, because protecting your brain isn't about avoiding life, it's about living wisely. And in this stage of life, wisdom is your greatest strength.